Diesel owners unknowingly damage their engines, and they don't even realize it. They start their engine, let it idle, and wait for it to warm up. It feels safe, responsible, smart, but in reality, that habit is slowly destroying your turbo, your injectors, your DPF, and your wallet. Shockingly, almost 70% of diesel owners warm up their engines the wrong way, causing damage from the very first second the engine fires. Diesel engines are not like gasoline engines. They don't rely on spark plugs to ignite fuel. Instead, they depend on extreme compression. This makes them powerful, efficient, and long-lasting, but also more sensitive when cold. When a diesel engine starts cold, three things happen immediately. First, the oil is thick and sluggish. Critical components, including turbo bearings, crankshafts, and camshafts, receive less lubrication, which increases friction and accelerates wear. Second, combustion is inefficient. Cold cylinders prevent proper fuel atomization, producing soot and carbon deposits that coat injectors, valves, pistons, and exhaust components. Third, the turbo is at risk. Spinning at over 100,000 RPM, it depends on hot, thin oil for protection. Cold oil leaves the turbo vulnerable to early damage. Despite this, most diesel owners make a deadly mistake. They let the engine idle for 10, 15, or even 20 minutes to warm it up. While it feels right, extended idling is actually harmful. Diesel engines burn very little fuel at idle, producing minimal heat. The oil remains thick, combustion stays weak, and carbon builds up. Wet stacking begins. Unburned fuel and soot accumulate in the turbo, exhaust, and combustion chamber. Extended idling also prevents proper DPF function. The diesel particulate filter requires high exhaust temperatures to burn off accumulated soot through regeneration. If the engine idles too long, the exhaust temperature remains too low. Soot accumulates faster than it can burn, leading to warning lights, forced regenerations, or even full DPF replacement, which can cost thousands. The correct method is simple and far more effective. Start the engine and let it idle for 30 to 60 seconds, just long enough for oil pressure to stabilize. Then begin driving gently. Apply light throttle, keep RPM moderate, and avoid heavy loads. Driving under light load warms the oil faster than idling, improves combustion, raises exhaust temperature, and allows the DPF to function properly. Do not rely solely on the coolant temperature gauge. Coolant warms faster than oil, so even when the gauge reads normal, the oil may still be below optimal temperature. Continue driving gently for 10 to 15 minutes before demanding full performance. Diesel engines are designed to last hundreds of thousands of miles, but longevity depends on proper habits. Stop long idling, start moving gently, and allow the engine to warm under real load. Doing so protects your turbo, preserves your DPF, reduces carbon buildup, and can save thousands in repair costs. The first 5 minutes of your morning determine the next 100,000 miles. Don't waste them. So what is the proper warm-up protocol for a diesel engine? The answer depends on the outside temperature, but the principle is always the same. Minimal idle time followed by gentle, light load driving. Here's a temperature-based guide for warming up your diesel safely and efficiently. When temperatures are above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, idle for just 30 to 60 seconds. This allows oil to circulate to every component and gives oil pressure time to stabilize. After that, begin driving slowly, keeping your RPMs below 2000 until the engine reaches normal operating temperature. If the temperature is between 0 degrees and 50 degrees, extend your idle to 2 to 3 minutes. The thicker oil needs this extra time to circulate properly. Once you're on the road, drive gently at low RPM until the engine fully warms. In extreme cold, below 0 degrees F, the maximum idle should be 5 minutes. Idling longer than 7 minutes provides no benefit and only increases the risk of wet stacking. After this brief warm-up, drive lightly for several miles to fully bring the engine and components up to temperature. It's crucial to understand that diesel engines require load to warm efficiently. Driving gently produces more heat and burns fuel more effectively than idling. Elevated combustion temperatures help bring not just the engine, but also oil, coolant, transmission, and differential fluids up to their proper operating range. Here's how to drive correctly during a warm-up. For the first 5 to 10 minutes, keep your RPMs below 2000. Wait until the temperature gauge stabilizes before accelerating aggressively or hauling heavy loads. Engine oil takes longer to reach full temperature than coolant, so avoid full throttle or maximum boost until the oil is fully warmed. Proper lubrication of the turbocharger bearings also depends on hot, thin oil. Cold starts put the most stress on turbo bearings, so the initial gentle driving period is essential for turbo longevity. Avoid high RPMs and boost until oil temperature has fully stabilized. Cold weather gadgets can make a big difference. Block heaters preheat the engine block, oil, and coolant, reducing cold start wear. In freezing conditions, plug in the heater 2 to 4 hours before starting. To save electricity, don't leave it on overnight. Instead, use a timer to start it a few hours before your normal departure. Battery warmers are also valuable. Diesel engines have high compression and need strong cranking power. At 0°C F, batteries can lose up to 60% of their power and around 35% at freezing temperatures. A battery warmer ensures reliable starting and maintains optimal temperature. Winter-grade diesel fuel or additives are essential in extreme cold. Diesel can gel and crystallize, blocking fuel filters and restricting flow. Winter additives lower the cold filter plugging point, ensuring smooth fuel delivery even in harsh conditions. Most diesel owners overlook one important fact. It's not just the engine that needs warming. Differential and transmission fluids are thick and cold at startup. Long idling does nothing for these components. Only gentle driving brings all fluids up to operating temperature simultaneously. Gradual warming reduces stress and extends the life of the differential and transmission. When driving a manual gearbox, be extra careful with shifts. Aggressive shifting with cold transmission fluid can damage synchronizers. Gentle driving during warm-up allows the transmission to reach proper temperature before performing abrupt gear changes. By following these guidelines, short idle, light load driving, temperature-appropriate adjustments, and the use of cold weather aids, you ensure maximum diesel engine longevity, protect the turbo and DPF, and prevent costly wear. Every step matters in the first minutes of operation, and proper warm-up habits can make the difference between an engine that lasts hundreds of thousands of miles and one that suffers premature failure. Even after a proper warm-up, many diesel owners make a critical mistake. They believe the engine is fully warmed up once the temperature gauge reaches normal. That's not accurate. The coolant temperature gauge only shows when the coolant is heated. Engine oil, the real lifeblood of your engine, takes much longer to reach its optimal operating temperature. Typically, it takes 10 to 15 minutes of driving for oil to catch up to the coolant. Your gauge may read normal, but the oil could still be only partially heated. Until the oil is fully up to temperature, continue driving cautiously. For most vehicles, this takes 15 to 20 minutes of total driving. Some modern diesel vehicles feature digital screens or oil temperature gauges. These tools make it easier to know exactly when your engine is ready for full power. If your vehicle doesn't have oil temperature monitoring, simply extend the gentle warm-up period to be safe. Warming up properly is only half the story. Cool down is just as important, especially for turbocharged diesel engines. Aggressive driving or towing generates extreme heat in the turbocharger. When you shut off the engine immediately after a hard drive, oil stops flowing to the spinning, super-hot turbo bearings. Without lubrication, bearings are at risk of accelerated wear or damage. To prevent this, Allow the engine to idle at low speed for 30 to 90 seconds after a long or heavy drive. If your vehicle has an exhaust gas temperature, EGT indicator, wait until it drops to between 300 and 400 degrees Celsius before shutting down. This simple cool-down routine dramatically extends turbo life. There you have it, the correct method to safely warm up and cool down your diesel engine. Follow these steps and you'll protect your turbo, preserve your oil, and keep your engine running strong for hundreds of thousands of miles. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for watching all the way to the end.